as smart as he usually is.
Brown drives, scoop layup off the glass.
It's not the first time we've seen a superstar in premium white sacrifice the body.
Scoring it, knocked away.
Wayne Spooney here after the Celtics get a big dub over the Cavs, 121-13. And I'm here with my guy, Jakey Eisenberg.
Yeah.
I think now has been deemed you last night on Late Night.
That was odd. That was very intimate of Ben to call me Jakey. But no, look, I love two things in this world, two that are non-humans, more than anything else, and that's basketball and the Boston Celtics specifically, and surfing. And today the waves were beautiful. And I got 3 words for you, Spoonie: 17 and 5.
That's pretty friggin' good, dude. That's a pretty for
Not
all
bad.
the consternation,
Yeah.
all the but like I don't think we've been complaining a lot, but we've definitely been identifying maybe this team's weaknesses. They're 17 and 5. Like that's ridiculous. What's that, like a 65 win pace, something like that?
Yeah, absurd. Yeah, my I think you have it as well. The Celtics to win 60 plus on FanDuel. This is good. This is good for us. 17 and 5. We would absolutely take that before the season started after making that bet. And this feels more sustainable than last year. It's funny because we were at what, like 15 and 4. I feel like we've
Yeah, I think so.
been winning a lot of games, which is great.
That is correct. Yeah, deep analysis here at First to the Floor. We've been winning a lot of games, and that is great. Yeah, it absolutely feels more sustainable. I mean, last year they were like the 20th best defense in the middle of the December last year, which is just not a good, that's just not ideal. Obviously, I think they're top 3, bouncing between 1 and 3, pretty just bouncing back and forth 1 and 3. Sorry. Eric Weiss in the chat is distracting me. Draymond suspended indefinitely. We are going to get there. We are going to tee Jake up for a Schadenfreude report. I want to talk about it off the top, but I think we just got to wait because we also have another Schadenfreuder to talk about here. But before we jump into the Cavs game specifically, so Jake and Ben did Celtics late night last night. So if you're just looking for like instant reactions from the game, like vibes, just kind of how it felt, go check that out. We're going to do a pretty deep dive on the crunch time because crunch time has been a problem with this team. I don't know, for 5 years since Isaiah left, right? And for once, they dominated crunch time. So we're going to jump into that. But before we do, please like and subscribe to the First to the Floor YouTube. Like this video, subscribe to our First to the Floor YouTube feed, subscribe on the podcast. It really helps us to defeat the algorithm, and it just helps us look legitimate, even if we actually are not, to get better guests. And tomorrow night, Jake, Celtics blog playback. You guys doing it?
Yep, we're back again. Awesome, smooth ride yesterday with you and the fellas on playback. There's a funny video from last night's stream up on the Celtics blog Twitter. All of us have reposted it too. In the first quarter when KP just passes the ball into the stands in the first quarter, and all 3 of us just did the exact same thing, just like hands on our head. It's very funny. And then Derek White to the rescue, and the clip closes off with the Jaylen Brown turnaround dagger over Max Strus. Good times, but it's going to be me and a couple other Celtics blog writers. So we're going to pass the rock around with the playback room. But we'll be back tomorrow for the Cavs game again. So get in there, join Celtics blog, just playback.tv and look for the Celtics blog room. It's very easy to find.
Yeah, and it's awesome. It's a lot of fun. Interact with the chat. The chat's great. You can jump on stage if you're feeling frisky. We had one guy jump on stage, RJ Johnson, the legend, giving us a Celtics history legend, man.
Truly.
I had never heard of Judkins or whatever that dude's name was. So that was a new one for me.
Well, and if you've been in the playback room, we often try and come up with a topic. It's usually video games that we talk about during free throws to try and anti-jinx the Celtics. And we threw it to the chat. Classic, our audience throws back beers. And so we talk about beers during free throws for the whole game. And what happens? The Celtics go 26 for 26 at the free throw line. So, no, it was a good time in the playback yesterday.
Oh, yeah, it was great. And make no mistake, we'll probably be talking about beers from here on out until it does not work. All right. Anyway, so the Cav game, 120, 113, and really like disaster. Maybe the worst they've played this season in the first quarter. KP just throwing it into the stands. Drew Holiday like confused about what he was doing on the basketball court. Like he thought maybe he was on an ice rink or he was taking a stroll in the park. I mean, it was like a complete disaster outside of maybe JB, but they crawled back professionally.
Yeah.
Hit singles. They did the Brad Stevens, hit singles, and going into the fourth quarter, it was a very close game. I think the Celtics were up 2. So there was 1 minute of NBA.com's crunch time, which is within 5 in the last 5 minutes.
Really?
Which, yeah, it's too narrow. That's too narrow of a definition.
It is a weird stat.
Yeah. But we were plus 300 net rating in that 1 minute of crunch time, so that's good. But in the last 15 games, plus 1.2 in crunch time, which is 15th in the NBA, which is obviously not great, but a 68.4 assist percentage, which I think at least tells a good story about offensively. They're moving the ball. Maybe they're not making shots. Like we've been talking about, the three-point shooting's been terrible. It's been terrible in crunch time often, but they're passing, less ISO, less junky offense. Both the offense and defense have basically been average, and for the offense, doesn't really shock me because again, they've not been making shots. Defensively, that it does surprise me a little bit. But Jake, take us through offensively the crunch time possessions here.
Yeah, look, I do think that crunch time stat is flawed because like you have to be within 5 with 5 minutes to go, and I think Celtics fans are particularly well equipped to understand that crunch time really starts in the fourth quarter. Like really, once you get down to like the 8-7 minute mark, the game is tight. Every possession really matters, and any swing in those minutes, all of a sudden you're down with 5 minutes to go, and the possessions get shorter. The people are starting to bleed clock. So like I think crunch time, you really need to just watch it and really have a look that way as opposed to trying to look at the crunch time numbers, because crunch time numbers, you all of a sudden it can turn into a crunch time game because someone brings it within 5 with 40 seconds to go when really it doesn't count. Anyway, I've got clips here starting from, it's about 8 minutes to go. We run a Jalen Hauser pick and pop. Hauser, 3 for 4 from 3 yesterday, knocks down that one. Celtics go up 4. Cavs score. We get Tatum posting up on Strus, who really knows how to defend Tatum. Just the classic post up, one leg Dirk fadeaway that we've been coming accustomed to. Next possession, Jason gets matched up on Thompson. That's probably the one shot I didn't like.
Yes,
was
agreed.
the pull up 3 on Tristan Thompson. Now, Porzingis went at Jared Allen a few times here in the post. He misses that one, but he goes back. Next possession, draws the foul. Really impressed with KP going at Allen in the post. Again, next possession, KP in the post, draws 3 defenders, gets to the line again. And now it's miscommunication on the pull-up. This one was much better. It was just kind of like completely wide open.
Yep.
Still, you don't love it with that much time on the shot clock. And the grift master, Porzingis, draws a flop
master
there. And then Tatum in the post kind of loses his balance. He thinks he got fouled. I don't think he did. Jalen in the post, help comes, fires a cross-court pass to Derek White, obviously knocks it down. And then the icing on the cake, Jaylen Brown in the post, Max Strus, 15-foot fadeaway, knocks it down, gives him the too small. This isn't Miami anymore. Max Strus. But I think when you go back and watch the process, really every possession you felt pretty comfortable with. The big thing was no turnovers through any of that, most of that stuff. I think there was one turnover that I didn't show there. Derek White was at the top of the key. He fired a pass to Drew Holiday, who cut baseline, who just dropped it, and the ball went out of bounds. But that type of turnover, you're not worried about as much when it's not something like a live ball thing. But yeah, any takeaways from those clips there?
Yeah, I think maybe what excites me the most, there's one bad shot in that entire sequence. And I mean, you started that at 8 minutes and 40 seconds left in the game. Like 9 minutes is a ton of time. And we got one terrible Tatum pull-up. Like the pull-up he made that's a good shot for him. Yeah, it's a little early in the shot clock. Ideally, maybe it's not the best shot, but it's a shot he can absolutely make. Otherwise, it's a lot of like working inside the arc, a lot of post-ups, a lot of that pass from Jalen on the post-up to Derek White in the corner, dude, for that dagger three Jaylen Brown is learning, man. He's really dedicating himself to playing basketball the right way. And look, KP grifting that foul. It's like, maybe that was kind of a soft call. I mean, the refs kind of had our back last night a little bit too, for sure. No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. But ultimately, we're running an action. We're putting pressure on the defense. They're having to react. And that's how you get goofy calls like that, because you're actually making them work instead of just isolating at the top of the key. So I just loved our approach. I've actually liked our approach most of the time all the time in crunch time when KP's been healthy. I think it's mostly been those games when KP's not healthy that we've looked like the Celtics of old. And as you like to say, Jake, the solution is on the roster, baby. Like when he's out there, man, it makes sense. I will say, didn't love KP going at Jared Allen. And I know he got fouled, and I know he was moving him way better than we expected. We were talking about it in the playback, but still, it just seems like you can get a switch for him and attack somebody else. Like he had the one where he got fouled when he got the switch onto Mitchell. Mitchell tried to side swipe him from behind and get the ball, and he got fouled there. It just seems like, why go to Jared Allen? Like he's kind of a borderline all defense guy. He got fouled once. He was one of two successful possessions, but it just didn't make sense to me really. But it's not a bad play. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I think you definitely can get to something better. I was just surprised at how much he was able to kind of be physical with Jared Allen, which I think is quite interesting. Just because I quickly went back and had a look at those clips while you were talking here, just because I wanted to see how long on the shot clock there was. The first one, I think they definitely could have worked for a better shot. He kind of goes with 17 seconds on the shot clock there. But the next one, I will say he gets the ball with 8 seconds on the shot clock.
Fair.
And so I think that matters though. And I think that's something that they hopefully get better at. But again, these possessions are so much better than some of the possessions we've seen in the past. The focus on the post up for KP, Jalen, and Jason, they just get looks and they don't turn the ball over. And that's all you really want. I've said this before, and it will always stick with me, is Eric Spoelstra mic'd up in the conference finals in him over and over again saying, shots on goal, shots on goal, shots on goal. It is so much more valuable to get a shot up, especially a post up where you can kind of bleed the clock down if you've got a bit of a lead. It's just such a low turnover option. And even when guys double, like Tatum and Porzingis, they're able to see guys coming, and they just don't turn the ball over nearly as much as when they're dribbling at the top of the key. And even if they do turn the ball over, it's not going to be as bad of a live turnover as it is when they're trying to drive into the lane, and everybody just the momentum goes the other way, and it just bang. So I think there's so many reasons why it's good.
Yeah, and it's so easy to see where the help's coming from, right? Because if it's coming, if you're posting up and there's somebody on your side, obviously that's very easy to see where that's coming from because it's right in front of you. Even I could see that, and I wear glasses normally. And then if it's coming from the opposite corner, that is a long ass way. If you're 10 feet on the left side and the opposite corner's the guy getting help, and the best thing about the Celtics offense is that dude in the corner can shoot. It's either going to be Derek White or Drew Holiday. It's probably going to be Derek White.
It's always Derek White.
It's always Derek White. Yeah. Why would you not put Ray Allen in the corner for the fucking dagger three, dude? And that's just if this is going to sound mean, but if Jalen can make that read, you know what I mean? Anybody can. but you know what I'm saying?
But exactly. But this is playing to your personnel. It's right. Would it be nice to maybe go from the top of the key Luka style and run some more ISO pick and roll stuff? But Luka can play make out of any situation and save himself in any moment and throw some insane passes. Jokic, some of these guys, we just don't have the same level of passes and playmakers on this team, and putting them like in the corner on the baseline where a defender can't come from out of bounds to steal the ball away. I think it really plays to the strengths of this team. I like that it allows Jalen and Jason to be physical. And I feel like that gets them into the game at times as well.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal point, Jake. I wish I made it. I'm jealous right now. But no, it's like Tatum especially, I feel like, has a tendency to just like not get up to the moment in the regular season. I don't think it's a problem in the playoffs, but like, dude, if you're banging shoulders with even a dude like Max Strus, he's going to kind of give it to you.
Yep.
And that kind of pisses you off and you want to hit him back harder. And that just gets you into it. And it gets you into it on the defensive end too. So it kind of pays dividends on both sides of the ball as well. So look, self-fillet right now. I wrote on 3-Leaf Clover 2 weeks ago, like Joe Mazzulla deserves more credit. Joe Mazzulla's like kind of transformed this team. Like he's corrected a lot of the faults we've seen. And we'll talk about it a little bit defensively too, but like the piss dudes banging from
that's all we want
in the chat. Yeah, that's all we want. We want piss dudes banging around. Yeah, we want them rubbing up against each other. So it's just like, this is the type of offense you need to run when you don't have one of those like elite ball handling superstars like Luka Doncic, like Steph Curry, LeBron, the guys who just like don't turn it over, who are just like unbeatable when they really want to be. And it's it worked last night. It's worked at times. It's basically worked every time KP has been healthy to at least generate good shots, even if they don't always go down.
Yeah, and I don't want that to sound like, I don't want to get too defensive about how we're talking about Tatum versus some other guys. But it's like, this is true of just kind of his archetype. It's just, there are so few guys that are 6'9", wing scoring forwards. Like Kevin Durant, when is asked to do too much playmaking, he has worse turnover issues than Tatum, and you kind of saw that in the net series that the Celtics played
against us. Yeah,
and that was an issue for the KD in the playoffs again last year. It's just like, as incredible as KD and Tatum are, like asking them to be LeBron and create in the half court over and over again and run pick and rolls over and over again and break dudes off the dribble over and over again when defenses are locked in and trying to get hands in passing lanes, it's going to lead to turnovers, and that's why. You just want to utilize their length, have them shoot over the top, and use this one-legged Dirk fadeaway that apparently Jason Tatum has in his bag now.
Yeah, I got to make this. I'm going to make a video where maybe tomorrow, because I'm working from home, maybe hopefully my boss isn't a fan. She's not. But I'm going to make like a Dirk Tatum one-legged fadeaway side-by-side video. I just got to do it. But yeah, man, like, it's the appropriate way to play offense with the type of team that Mazzulla's got. And that's not to say it's a worse way to play. It's just a different way to play. And also the flip side is like Luka gives it right back on the other end, and we know Tatum doesn't do that. So speaking of the other end, I like that. Yeah, a little transition.
Big fancy host over here.
Yeah. Okay, Jake, I'm going to pose a question to you. Donovan Mitchell made a shot at 6:05 left in the fourth quarter. How many more shots did he make in the game?
Oh, this is a really good question. I'm going to say 1.
0.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so 6:05, Mitchell makes a mid-range 18-foot pull-up jumper, right? You guys talked about it in late night last night, but Mazzulla, I think you guys were hitting on it exactly, that like he was kind of playing possum a little bit with the drop defense all night. And then those last 8 minutes or so, he just unleashed this like insane aggressive trap where Kristaps Porzingis was just like up in Mitchell's face, and Mitchell's smart, right? Like he knows to not pick up his dribble. He can do an escape dribble, and then he's kind of not isolating KP, but can try to go around KP, and KP just dropped back and made him shoot, like, you want to take a 26-foot pull-up, which he did once after that 6-minute marks. And And he missed it because it was an incredibly difficult pull-up over Kristaps Porzingis, right? So he only took 2 more shots after that made shot at 6:05. One was that crazy, like, mid-range, like, going sideways fadeaway that he missed. And the other was that, like, 26-footer way behind the line that he had to shoot over at least one defender in KP and really maybe 2. And even when he escaped, it really just grinded their offense down really bad because then you had Drew or Derek White on Darius Garland. So even if you can make the pass directly to Darius Garland, you've got one of the best guard defenders in the NBA on him. So Garland was okay in the last 6 minutes, but he wasn't great. So we did concede some open shots. Dean Wade missed a wide open 3. And Karis LeVert missed a wide open 3. But you want those guys taking the wide open 3s in crunch time instead of Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, and even like Allen rolling to the rim was pretty effective last night. So we just completely neutralized those 3 guys by blitzing Donovan Mitchell in the pick and roll, and the Cavs really didn't have an answer for it.
I loved it. And the drop defense is honestly fine. Like, against this, yes, they are good. They have the ability to shoot pull-up 3s, but man, they were really shooting pull-up 3s. Like Donovan Mitchell, like for them to be tied / down in the game, and really, like, if the Celtics don't play, I'm going to use a different analogy than I used last night. Like, they were hungover for the first quarter. Then they don't spot them a 16-point lead. Then really, they're going to be up, 6-10 for most of this game. And that was with the way that Garland and Donovan Mitchell were shooting pull-up 3s, and they were just money. Mitchell was just on another planet at times throughout that game. And and look, the thing about drop defense is, and Matthew in the chat here, like, there's only so many defenses there are to play. And like, you can drop, or you can switch. Those are like, obviously there's the zones and kind of what the Celtics did with like the trapping and recovering. And you might want to be like, why don't they go to like the trapping and recovering earlier? Well, these guys are really good and really smart. And if you start to trap and go to that in the second quarter, third quarter, they're going to have a timeout, a second timeout. They're going to have time to adjust to it, get used to it, and they're going to pick that apart too. Any of these elite ball handlers in the NBA, Steph Curry, Donovan Mitchell, like Halliburton, they're going to figure out the defense as the game goes along. So I love that Joe stuck to it and was like, okay, it's like the bend don't break defense that Belichick has used in the past as well. So like, we just got to get to once you get to the red zone, then we're going to tighten up.
Keep him to 3. Keep him to 3.
Yeah, and it worked. And look, I love seeing it. Like, and KP in a hedging, getting those big 7'3" arms up there. He's clearly a very smart defender, and then able to drop back. I loved it, and it absolutely worked.
Yeah, and at times it was almost like a trap / hedge where he'd like get up quick, super aggressive, and sometimes he'd just leave. Right. And that keeps you off balance because, if you see it once and it's a hard trap every time, you just tell Jared Allen, stop. Let me toss it over the top to you and then flow into a handoff with Garland. And you're basically playing 2-on-1 with Darius Garland. Not an ideal situation as a defense, right? So it was like KP played so damn well defensively for those last like 8 minutes or so where he was like hard hedging, trapping, getting back to Allen when he needed to, switching occasionally when he needed to, and like not getting completely roasted. So that's how you defend guys like Donovan Mitchell. You got to just show him different looks. You got to do different things. So Ben saying it'll be interesting to see what we do in game 2. We're going to get to that a little bit. But yeah, I mean, just a dominant defensive performance in crunch time, which is, something we've kind of lacked recently. Last 15 games, we've had like the 15th best defense in crunch time. Obviously, those are really low. There's not a lot of minutes in those numbers, right? So you can't take away too much. But Yeah, I just thought it was great. Like, yeah, go ahead, Karis LeVert. You're going to own us in crunch time. Go for it. So Derek W. Kim says, sup, folks? Question, how do we beat Orlando? I mean, it's comical now. I have absolutely no idea.
It's not possible.
They just have us, yeah.
I am excited to play them twice in a row, just to be like, okay, can we win? Can we please win? I think the last game, I have to go back and look now, but I know like the beginning of last season, we beat them in the first game, and they put up a lot of points, which is weird because every game since then feels like the opposite. But I'm excited to see what happens there.
Yeah, there's been a lot of funky shooting stuff with the Orlando games. Yeah. I will say that. And it's been 4 games straight now, so maybe it's just a thing. Yeah, we need more Germans, says Matt in the chat. Yeah.
Mo Wagner has legitimately become like one of the best backup big men in the league. Like that's just a fact, which is kind of wild.
He's been like really good. He's like making threes and shit. I'm like, who is this? He's like putting it on the deck. Like, what is this dude? Like, he's like unplayable.
I think he's getting the aura boost. I think from his brother. That's what I'm pretty sure. Like, it has to be some kind of cosmic boost that he's getting because there's a reason he bounced from team to team to team. I don't know.
So there's this mode in FIFA called Ultimate Team, and if you have two guys from the same country, they get a chemistry boost.
That's what I'm saying.
Plus, like you add the brother mix in it. That's full chem immediately. So anyway, all right. Before we jump to the next Cav matchup, I think this game was on its way to being out of reach until. And how many? We've not said this often until the bench came in, especially Peyton Pritchard. Jakey, Peyton Pritchard, baby, please.
Hey,
tell me about your PP.
Hey, look, the PP insertion hasn't always gone well this year, but this year, I mean, this game against the Cavs, worked a charm. He was at full attention and ready to go. He missed his first wide open 3. He clanked it too. Like it was not online. It was short at the same time.
It had back of the back rim somehow.
Yeah. And so he misses the first one. He ends up going 2 for 5. So he ends up going 2 for 4 over his next 4 attempts. But again, and I saw a chart today of I think it was offensive rebounding. Like height versus offensive rebounding, and Pritchard's just like sticking his face out on this graph, like doing his thing. And thank you, VT in the chat. I'm not sure if that says about who you're watching or me, but maybe a little combination.
Bit of both,
a bit of both. But look, man, I would say this is only the second time we've really felt the Pritchard spark. The Charlotte game and this game, and for him to go 2 for 5, that's the perfect number, really. I think you want him to have a high 3-point rate when he's playing. When he's like, if you extrapolate that to per 36, that's like 8 attempts per game. He's coming out firing away. So the confidence is definitely back, which is the most important thing. And then he's still doing all those other things. But man, the bench is kind of like being actualized a little bit lately. Pritchard still hasn't been as consistent, but like he's been definitely much better than the first like 10 games or so. And if he can just maintain the shooting, if we can just get a hot shooting stretch from Pritchard, the bench is going to become a legitimate story. Because Hauser, I mean, again, 3 for 4 from 3, and Al Horford doesn't make a lot of shots, but I mean, he's just always going to be so solid defensively and always making the right play, connecting things together. But then if you get a game like yesterday where you get 5 for 9 from 3 from the 2 white boys coming off the bench, I mean, that's
pretty good.
That's what you'd need. Like, this is the first game. The Celtics are yet to be blown out in a game. Technically the Magic game, but that was more like a fake blowout. Because they stopped trying in the last like 2 minutes, and then the score differential thing, and this was looking like, oh shit, we're gonna go down 20 plus here if we're not careful. And the PP has been unblocked and unleashed, and we love to see it.
Hot PP, aka Gonorrhea Pritchard. No, I mean, and you know what I really liked about what he came in and he just got up into Garland. Doesn't always work. Like, Garland's so slick on the ball.
He's awesome.
Like, he can get by you anyway. He can make plays anyway. But, like, you just got to be physical with that dude. I'm a big Garland guy. I've had him on my fantasy team like 4 years running since he was a second-year player. Like, that's my dude.
Say, as long as he wasn't his rookie season, then that's a good thing.
Well, I had him that year too. But, we don't talk about that one. But like, you just got to make him really uncomfortable otherwise, because if he's comfortable, he's hitting step backs, he's getting by you, he's making plays. And like, Pritchard was just getting up into his pocket because they rely on him so much when Mitchell's off the court. Holy crap, Derek W. Kim. Thank you so much.
What a hero.
Yeah. Wow. Really enjoying your show. Please
never stop talking.
C's.
Well,
yeah,
I mean, between
me.
playback, late night, and now, I mean, our per 36 Celtics minutes chat is getting pretty high. So yeah. Absolutely. We love doing it, and we love everybody in the chat, and especially that donation is huge.
Thank you so much, Derek. That's awesome.
We're gonna put it all on red when we catch up together in Vegas.
That's right. Yeah, we're gonna blow it away immediately. But anyway, so yeah, Pritchard was just like, he came in and he just changed the tone of the entire team. He played with confidence, and like Drew and KP were really like, they looked off it, dude. Like, they didn't look confident in those first like 8 minutes or so. Very necessary. And like, Hauser kind of had his bad defensive game for him, but this is a tough matchup for him.
Yes, it absolutely is, but they did the thing, and someone in the chat here says, Sam Hauser gets picked on defensively. And usually that's actually not that bad of a thing because it takes teams out of their offense. The Cavs did the thing that you've been concerned that teams are going to start doing, and that's run him through screens, get him in the pick and roll. And he's just not going to – that's definitely his biggest weakness on defense is screen navigation. It's like not even close. And he struggled with it. And I thought that to that point – because Godzilla in the comment below here, the bench has been nice. I wish we could run Brissett and Stevens instead of Cornette. I do think yesterday in particular, I just don't understand why we have not seen Lamar Stevens at all.
Yeah. Like,
he, out of anything, is the best defender out of the Cornette, Brissett, Stevens group. Banton. Easily. They ran Lamar Stevens at the 5 during the preseason, which I was super excited about. And we just never saw it again. And I thought yesterday when Cornette and Hauser struggling with this pick and roll stuff, you put Stevens out there instead of Cornette, and then you just start switching everything with Lamar at the 5 and Hauser. Then I'd much rather Hauser try and guard Garland on a switch as opposed to trying to guard him going over screens. Again, Garland's going to potentially do well in a switch, but you'd much rather guys just ISO and try and break him down off the dribble. We've seen him do much better in those scenarios. I don't get it. I'm assuming we're going to see some kind of move because like they tried to go to Banton. That seems to be out the window now. I don't get why we haven't seen Stevens yet. It's very bizarre to me.
Well, and especially when they don't have Mobley, because the Cavs are huge when they have in the front court when they have Mobley and Allen, and they sometimes play Tristan Thompson with Mobley a little bit, which is insane, but they do it. And you're afraid about like getting battered on the glass with that. But like when it's just Tristan Thompson, like I trust Stevens to box out. I trust him to at least put a body on Tristan Thompson. And I've watched Tristan Thompson. He was one of the worst putback players in efficiency in the NBA when he was a Celtic. Like, okay, go ahead. Like, volleyball it at the rim. We're going to get that rebound eventually. So, yeah, it didn't make sense to me. And, like, I don't know if his three-point shot is good enough to get guarded, but if it's not, he's going to be wide open. And, like, that's an easy outlet if you need it. And we're talking about bench versus bench. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that. There's worse shots.
Yeah, and he's at least giving you he's a great offensive rebounder, and I just thought yesterday that was a time where he could have like really used some Lamar Stevens. It doesn't feel like we're gonna see him. I don't understand when it's gonna happen if it hasn't happened at this point. Like Brissett had his chance, he's out of the rotation already. I don't know. And we got a question about Drew Peterson here. We're gonna get to Drew soon as well,
very shortly. Yeah. All right, actually. Let's go ahead.
Ad
yeah,
read.
That's where I was going right now, Jake. We're on it, buddy.
Let's
We're on
go.
it. All right. So yeah, before we jump into the next Cavs matchup, we're gonna do a quick segment on what we might see differently. Let's get to Ben's dulcet tones with the FanDuel ad read.
Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Boston and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
I've got one if you don't.
Oh, no, you go. You go.
Okay, so everyone should fade me because I'm pretty sure I'm 0-5 or 0-4 for our FanDuel ad read bets. But the Chargers, Herbert's hurt.
Yeah.
Plus 3.5 against the Raiders. The Raiders stink. The Chargers stink. Take the points. Take the points.
So Chargers plus 3.5 with Eaton Stick. Is that his name?
Yeah, man, they got running backs. They got weapons. Like
Keenan Allen's out too.
They're fine. They'll be fine. Mike Williams is hurt for the season, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I was just gonna go, and obviously we missed on the Cavs game yesterday. I said take the Cavs. Whatever the Celtics line was going to be ended up being 11.5. I may have advised staying away from that one because that's a big line. They ended up getting pretty close to it. Actually, they were up 10 late, but they didn't quite hit it because of the hungover nature of the first quarter. But they are minus 8.5 against the Cavs tomorrow, which is, and Mobley has been announced to be out. Jaylen Brown is questionable. I bet you he plays, and even if he doesn't, I still like Celtics minus 8.5. But also Chiefs minus 8.5 versus the Pats, I think is a pretty nice one too.
Yeah, okay, I like that. Yeah, the Chiefs minus less than 2 touchdowns against this trash Patriots team. The Chiefs kind of have sucked recently too, though. Like they're not been impressive,
but their defense is really good.
Bad.
And it's like the Pats got that weird. It was a classic Thursday night bump. Where Thursday night games are always weird. They put up 21 points in the first half and then didn't score again, which is like okay, and we're back to normal. So
Zappy baby.
Yeah.
All right. So obviously, as we just discussed, we're playing the Cavs next. One of those weird, the post-COVID, reduced travel, home games. So real quick, Jake, before we talk about the legend Drew Peterson, I got some Drew Peterson takes here.
Okay.
What do you think? One thing defensively each team will change.
I think the Celtics might go, hopefully, to some more. Actually, I don't even know. I think they might just go to the drop again. I think that Joe's going to be like, okay, you were scorching from pull up 3 yesterday. Maybe they bring KP up a little bit. I thought he was a little bit deep, and I think you go back and watch the film. I would say defensively, just bring the guy, whoever's in the drop up a little bit. But otherwise, I'd like to see some more switching, kind of across the board. But I don't know if we're going to see that.
Yeah, so I'm with you. I think we're gonna absolutely go back to drop. Yeah, maybe KP was like super deep. KP and Cornette was like in the paint. I don't know what he was doing on some of these possessions. So, but yeah, maybe KP's a little higher up. But we're definitely gonna go back to drop. We're not gonna play the whole game trapping Mitchell. I just don't think that's viable. I'd like to see us send a third defender against those Mitchell pick and rolls and make him swing the ball, just get the ball out of his hands. And that's a way you can do it where KP's still in drop, still able to defend the rim. If Mitchell just goes and tries to attack the rim, he's still there. And then it's like, okay, you want to swing the ball to Dean Wade and have him make a play? Swing the ball to Dean Wade. So what about, I mean, the Cavs is kind of tough. We don't want, well, go ahead. Sorry.
Honestly, I do like that because look, let's see if we can make Dean Wade, Isaac Okoro, and Karis LeVert hit a bunch of shots. Don't hate that plan, as opposed to Garland and Mitchell being the guys that kind of walk into a bunch of wide open pull-ups. Yeah, that's what up, Muzz 31. Welcome. I think that's good. Great call.
All right, thank you. What about the Cavs? Frankly, I'm not sure I've watched enough Cavs to understand what they might change up defensively, but do you have anything on it, Jake?
I watched, so I think I've mentioned a couple times now, but Tony Pesta, we had him on the pod for the Eastern Conference Rivals thing. He did a little thread on Twitter today breaking down all the 3-point makes that the Celtics had in the fourth quarter. And, because Cav fans were, very upset that we were getting wide open looks. And he broke it down and he was just kind of like, the Celtics is really hard to defend.
Yeah.
The Celtics are really hard to defend. If you want to defend the Celtics at an elite level, you have to be able to switch everything, and you have to be able to do it well. That's the only way. And now we have that the post up game to kind of deal with that. And the only team that's really been able to successfully do that has been the Warriors and the Heat, and they have Draymond Green and Bam Adebayo to switch onto the Jalen and the Jasons, who they are two of the best switch defenders that the NBA has ever seen.
Yeah.
So it's unless you have that type of personnel, defending the Celtics is just really difficult. So I'd honestly and it's especially with Mobley being out again, he's their best option to do a switch everything, have a guy, because otherwise, Tristan Thompson switting out to Tatum. I mean,
he's cooked.
It's just hit that like button, crew, in the chat here. But yeah, I think that the Cavs. This has been a matchup that the Celtics have scored really well against, even going back to last year in the games that they have lost. Broadly, macro speaking, they were putting up points because they don't have the size on the perimeter to match up with the Jays, or stick with the stock exchange.
Yeah, I wonder if so. I thought how Memphis defended us, where they just dared us to make layups and dared us to make mid-range jumpers and just completely sent no help at all, is kind of an interesting way to defend the Celtics. The Cavs really don't have the personnel to do that, especially with Garland. Garland is just as great and awesome of an offensive player he is. He's so bad defensively, dude. He's terrible. So if Garland's not on the floor, though, I wonder if they'll just we're not sending help. If you want to shoot, if you want to get to the rim and try to make a layup over Donovan Mitchell, and Mitchell's pretty good at getting his hands into dribbles and stuff like that. I wonder if we'll see a little bit of that where it's just run us off the 3-point line, because we shot a shit ton of threes against them. And we're very hard to beat when we shoot that many threes, even if they're not going in that much, unless we have one of those terrible under 30% 3-point games. We're probably going to beat you. And we were hot from three, shot 40%. I wonder if they'll just do the Memphis game plan where it's fuck it. We're just going to try and strip your handle, foul you. Hopefully the refs don't call it sometimes. Maybe you'll miss a few layups and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I think that's a good plan. I would honestly would like to see them do that. I would like to see, just because I want to see them get some practice going to the rim and finishing over guys. That would be a nice adjustment and something that I think I'd like to see the Celtics try and do a little bit more of. Just as much as it, they're hard to beat when they're shooting 44 threes. I'm a simple boomer. I love it when they're going
to the rim.
Yeah. But when you were saying that, it did make me think. How many times did we see the stats on how many times the Celtics, last season was when the Celtics shoot over 40%, they were basically undefeated, and when they shot below, they were a 500 team or whatever it was. We haven't seen those numbers being circulated, and that's because it was always kind of anti-Celtic propaganda, and it's because we haven't shot well this year. I wonder what the percentage has kind of come up to, because I know we've been struggling. We've been middle of the league in 3-point percentage for much of the season. I'm just having a look here. We are 16th still, so we're absolutely middle of the pack, and which means we've been winning these games, as you said, despite shooting really well from three. There's been a bunch of games that we've won being in the low 30s, even the high 20s. We've won a bunch of those games, which is a massive difference compared to last season. So when we have a game like yesterday and we don't start the game we had 40 beers the day before, then we should, in theory, just blow these teams out, which is just a bit of an outlier, I think, yesterday.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. So, offensively, one change for each team. What do you think the Celtics will do?
Let's have Jason Tatum be assertive to start the game offensively. Let's get him going. And I don't know, his comments in the post game were interesting to me in that it feels like he's trying to let everybody do their thing early. He's always kind of been like that, but I wonder, like he mentioned the sacrifice and stuff like that. I wonder if he's just trying to pick his spots a little bit differently this year, and that's why he's taking a back seat. But I would just like to see him be the dominant guy early, set the tone early.
Yeah.
Let's ensure that we're not having a slow start again. And I think that part of that can be is Tatum related sometimes. Yes, Matthew in the chat. That is the way that Tatum starts every single answer that he's ever been asked at a press conference is, yeah. I think that's fair.
I'm gonna steal one from you, Jake, from the playback. I want to see KP roll a little bit more.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, Tatum gets so much attention when he's the ball handler and pick and roll, and Jalen too. Just because they kind of like dare Jalen to make the right play, and often KP would just kind of like fade for a pick and pop, and the Cavs did a really good job, at least early, taking that away. Roll hard, KP. Let Tatum kind of drop that over the top too and make a play 4-on-3. So I wonder if we'll see a little bit more of that.
Yes, absolutely. Let's if it's all the way to the rim for some lobs or the short roll stuff. Yeah, please just. Yeah. But I wonder, because Jared Allen is Jared Allen, it's like, and he's just not comfortable going out to the perimeter like that. That KP's making those reads yesterday, and he's like, Allen wants me to come to the rim. Like, that's where he's most effective. Yeah. Like, he's going to break up a bunch of those. If there are a lob, he's going to do a good job of breaking those up. He's going to get some good contests, get hands in passing lanes on the short roll. So I wonder if that's part of why we didn't see any rolling yesterday. But I also don't feel like we saw much rolling from KP in the Knicks game either. But I might just be misremembering that now.
Well, but I mean, he's also just so incredibly dangerous as a pop guy too, and it like you said, like it makes it sure the rim protector's not at the rim too. So it's probably better off with him popping, but I think you got to mix it up a little bit. Like it's like guarding pick and roll. So offensively, Cavs real quick, and then we'll jump around here.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Cavs. What are they gonna do? I mean, why would you change anything? Why would you change anything? One. I mean, like, let's just destroy them in the drop again. I don't know.
Yeah. I think we'll see more Garland on ball and Mitchell off ball, because when we were trapping stuff like that, it allowed us to kind of double Mitchell. You can't really double somebody off ball, right? So I wonder if Garland will force the double and he'll be able to pass it. And then you got Donovan Mitchell 4-on-3 against the rest of the Celtics defense. But yeah, push come to shove, like, we're probably going to be in drop, frankly, anyway. We're probably not going to see a lot of that trap. So, and Garland can hit pull-up threes too. So I think we'll see just a little bit more Garland on the ball, because we really didn't see a lot of it except for when Mitchell was out of the game.
I do think that's their team. I think Mitchell is like the 1A, and I think that's actually part of why they're not reaching their ceiling right now. I think that Garland's like the better playmaker, but Donovan's the better like explosive scorer. So it's just a tough balance. Evan Mobley is not playing tomorrow, so that's just good for the Celtics. Like, he's Jaylen Brown's questionable. I think he's going to play. I'm not saying he's faking the injury, but when he blew that layup and he went back to the locker room and then played the second half, I was convinced that he was just a little bit embarrassed about blowing it. And he's really taking it all the way through. He's like, guys, you got to put me on the injury report. This ankle.
Yeah, please make it legit.
I told you that dunk. He's my ankle, man. Not good.
Yeah. All right. So, next Cavs matchup, I wouldn't be shocked if we lose this one, just because it's very difficult to play a team twice in a row. But
I'm going to be surprised if we lose this one now. I think so.
Fair
with
enough.
No Mobley now, and the way that the Cavs shot the ball, I'm like, I think that I'm feeling good.
Fair enough. Yeah, I really kind of feels like this team's starting to click a little bit since KP came back. But
surprise.
All right. Yeah, right. Shocking. Shocking. Our second or third best player comes back and we look a lot better. All right. So, I mean, Brad Stevens, fireworks, big free agent signing. Drew Peterson played at USC.
Okay.
I don't know how much you watched him, Jake. I know him a little bit from the college game. Also watched some highlights today while I was watching my child, quote unquote, because I'm a great dad. So do you have any takes on Drew Peterson? If not, I can give a quick rundown.
This is my take so far from what I've seen on Twitter. This is all I've seen on Twitter, really, is that, one, the Miami Heat had him for a bit and they kind of liked him, but like let him go. And so love that. And secondly, it feels like it's another swing at like the Banton archetype in that 6'9", but more offensively capable than Banton, where Banton's like more of like a rebounding, switching guy, and the offense is theoretical, whereas Peterson is like a 6'9" point guard. The shooting numbers looked pretty good at college from what I saw.
Okay, yeah. His jump shot is fucking disgusting. It looks awful. Like, not disgusting good. Like,
I was like, what does this mean?
Okay. Bad. It looks so bad, but it goes in a lot. It's repeatable. He does it the same way every time. He's got this crazy leg kick out where his feet land all sorts of crazy places. Right. And he's like leaned back, but it goes in. And he can hit it off screens, off the catch, off the dribble. So great jump shooter. Great handle for a 6'9" college guy. I don't know. Like Banton if Banton went to college right now, he would be crossing people up nonstop. Sure. You know what I mean? Peterson, I don't trust his handle that much, but it's enough where if he gets an outlet pass, he can put it on the deck. He's not going to look like Luke Cornett with the ball in his hands. You know what I mean? So, he did a lot of like post up, mid range fade, that type of stuff in college. That's never going to happen in the NBA. Like, it's just not. I'm sorry, okay. Drew. And like, he just doesn't really get to the rim, but he can shoot the ball and he knows how to make a play, like good passing instincts, sort of like a smart player in a lot of ways, like very Brad Stevens-y.
I was going to say, like, surprise, surprise. Brad Stevens brings in a 6'9" white guy that can shoot. Never seen it before.
Shocking.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, he's poor man's Gordon Hayward in college, essentially. Yeah. And he is like, he makes Sam Hauser look all NBA, all NBA defense on the defensive end. Like, not a defensive guy, but Hauser was terrible defensively coming out of college.
That's crazy.
Yeah. No, I mean, he was terrible is probably a little strong, but he was not a good defensive player in college.
Well, there's a reason he didn't get drafted, right? It's just so impressive from Hauser, man, to have gotten to where he is defensively. Like,
yeah, dude, absolutely. But Hauser has like meat. You know what I mean? Like, he's strong, so he can use that defensively. Yeah, he's a meaty boy. I love it. Yeah. Just rip a wing off and take a bite of Sam. Drew Peterson, no meat. It would not be tender, very stringy, lots of ligaments. And, you know, he's that's similarly limited to Sam in that, like, he just does not move laterally very well, and he's, like, skinny and can get pushed around. So, but he can shoot the friggin' ball, and he's tall, and he can handle it and pass a little bit. So, and you said it, the most important thing, the Miami Heat were interested. Yep. And that is, like, number one for any two-way guy.
Oh, absolutely. That's number one. That's why Hauser worked out. And so, but look, you know, this is how you get a shot in the NBA, is be 6'9" and be able to shoot pass and dribble legitimately. If you want to be 6'9" and shoot pass and dribble, teams are going to keep being like, hey, maybe this is going to work, and maybe it's going to work. Probably not, but we'll see.
I think it's an improvement on Nathan Knight. I will say that this dude's upside is a lot higher than Nathan Knight's. Okay, before we go, because of course me and Jake are running long as we always do when we don't have Ben to move us.
I was like, damn it, we're at 47 minutes.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. We are gonna get to everyone's favorite segment.
Schadenfreude.
The Sixers.
Schadenfreude.
The Lakers.
Schadenfreude.
The
The Heat.
Schadenfreude.
Milwaukee Bucks.
Schadenfreude.
Warriors.
Schadenfreude.
Okay.
Wow.
Jake, Draymond Green is the fucking worst. Suspended indefinitely for his second, insane move, not even Lambeer-esque. At least Lambeer did it when you were, going to the rim and stuff like that and made it look like a hard foul. Draymond's on tilt, but I see in our notes for the show you have a contrarian take.
Oh, no.
So I'm very interested to see what that is.
Oh, no. So firstly, I think after missing the next game, Draymond will have been suspended or ejected in half of all of the Warriors games this season.
That's insane.
How is that possible? He's obviously gone off the deep end a little bit here. He's always been a little bit like this. The crazy thing is I actually believe him in that he didn't mean to actually punch Nurkic in the face. He just
really?
I don't think I know he meant to I truly actually believe it, but it doesn't actually matter when it comes to Draymond. I don't think that he's but the problem is he did. It's you have to have a brain and know that if I swing my arm around, I just don't think he realizes that's what's actually happening. The kicking of the people in the nuts and stuff like that. I don't know if I'm crazy for thinking it, but I actually don't think that he's actively being I'm going to kick this person in the nuts. I'm going to punch this person in the face. The choking of Rudy Gobert, that's different. Obviously, that was not an accident. That was a purposeful strangulation. But and also the way that he he actually had some remorse. He doesn't usually have any remorse in the post game, but he actually was I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry. But then Steve Kerr the whole team's falling apart. So on one hand, I'm happy to see this team fall apart, but on the other hand, I'm how is this team falling apart so quickly? They are so few months removed from beating us in the finals. Andrew Wiggins is 18 months removed from being a two-way wing superstar. He's averaging 4 turnovers a game. He's doing 9 turnovers or something in the last 2 games.
And 3 rebounds or something crazy like that.
It's crazy. Klay Thompson is a disaster. Looney looks washed completely.
Yep.
Klay, you can kind of expect that a lot of injuries and stuff. Wiggins is 28, Looney's is 27, and they've fallen off a cliff a year and a half after beating the Celtics. So it's honestly tilting watching them fall apart so quickly from winning that title. But man, I yesterday was on the I think it's the Light Years pod. They do a playback room for every post game, and because of the time difference here, I watched the West Coast games, and then any post game shows, it's still 4:00. So I had a beer, and then they brought me up on stage, and I was like,
nice.
I'm a Boston guy from Australia, and I'm to me though, they shouldn't break. I was giving them a whole, you shouldn't break up the team, even though Draymond's a psychopath. He's still one of the best defenders in the NBA. Steph's still a top 3 player. But man, I predicted 5 games. They were homers and were I think he'll get 2 or 3. And I was I think you guys are minimum 5 because he got 5 for this choke, and this is a week later. But all I care about was the 3 games because we play the Warriors in 3 games. So this is almost a guarantee for 3 games here.
All right, Jake, I don't disagree with you often. Draymond knew exactly what the fuck he was
Okay,
doing.
you reckon?
Yes. He's an elite athlete who can move his feet in hands to guard. And you just said 20 minutes ago he's one of the best switch defenders of all time. He might be the best switch defender of all time. He knows exactly where his limbs are going. He knew exactly where Nurkic's face was, and he cold cocked him,
I know.
dude. Come on.
Look, you're probably right, but it's just it's just so hard for me to believe that he would try and why. I just don't get it. Well, which makes my contrarian take very contrarian. Are you ready for the take, or should we keep talking about how he's?
Hit it. Yeah.
So I wouldn't. So Firstly, I'm slightly more scared to give this take because, and thank you to everybody in the chat. The reason for me being a little bit more scared is actually people listen to this podcast now, and I don't want I don't want people to think that I'm an insane person.
We're clipping this.
Yeah, but on the court, he is still he if he played enough games last year, could have easily won Defensive Player of the Year. He was like one of the best defenders in the league, absolutely no question. Drew Holiday for Draymond Green.
No. No. Okay, I agree with you. Defensively, Draymond is maybe the best defensive player in the NBA still, but like he is trash offensively these days.
He's shooting 40% from three this year.
Yeah, but I just don't trust it in the playoffs.
But it's not the shooting for me. It's the way that he's an elite playmaker, passer, like incredible, and he plays really fast. He always catches the ball. He's incredible in like the 2-on-1, 3-on-4 situations. And then he also like has obviously the intensity and the maybe the
that's what you want to call it. Yeah.
Let's call it the intensity that sometimes that a lot of people are saying the Celtics don't have. Again, I'm not saying I would do this. I wouldn't do it because Draymond he just signed a 4-year extension. So I just wouldn't do it. Like, there's just no. This is what happens when I drink coffee. I have like 2 coffees a month, and now I'm getting crazy, and so. And Dre is batshit crazy. Agreed. I'm not saying I would do it, but I'm like the on court, and again the Warriors like Steve Kerr and Steph are like they're up there, and they're just like if the problem is they know that they need him. They're like, we need him. This team is not good without him. This team's not even good with him at the moment because the rest of the team sucks. But like they absolutely need him because he's still an elite player on the court. And I'm like, if you traded for him, would that like settle him down, be a wake up call? I don't think that it would be. I'm just saying like there is a ceiling outcome. I think with the Draymond, he's just like he's defensively, like what he could bring to this team. I think as good as Drew is, you have a Derek, Jason, Jalen, KP, Draymond lineup.
Yeah,
and it's
loaded,
just like,
dude.
Holy Santa Claus, dude. But everybody thinks I'm insane. And I told you guys it was insane. I'm not saying I would do it.
I love it. That's what we're here for. We're just seeing what's out there. We're just getting some takes off and talking about them. Yeah. No, I don't think I'd do it, but if the shooting keeps, there's an argument for it, but I think the contract is just too insane. I bet you Drew takes a pretty steep discount here in the next couple years to stay. Maybe we'll see. But okay. That on that note, real quick before we go, because I want to talk about this really quickly.
Sure.
Do the Bucks kind of suck? So they're 12th in cleaning the glass net rating. They're 21st in defense. And according to Cleaning the Glass, who for this particular stat I trust inherently and with all my heart, they're playing like a 47-win team.
So, firstly, everybody in the chat, don't tell me what the score of the Pacers Bucks game is right now, because I'm literally gonna start watching it after we finish this podcast.
Same,
but I think the Bucks have real problems, dude. And like the Heat last year was a team that won all these close games against bad teams, and they ended up being an 8 seed, and they ended up making the fucking NBA Finals because the Celtics are idiots. But I don't think the Bucks are that team. I don't think when you get to the playoffs that they have the Spoelstra devil magic. They don't have the ability to clamp down defensively to get something like that done. I think that they're frauds as currently constructed. I just do not believe what they're able to do defensively is going to be anywhere near enough in the playoffs. You can't be a team that's a contender and be 20th in defense or offense.
Yeah.
Just can't happen.
Yeah, totally agree. I don't know how they solve it either because they have absolutely no assets to go get somebody.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem. I have a sinking feeling that no. But
all right.
I think that not Caruso. I think someone will actually have to pay for him. I think some dumb team might bail them out by thinking that Bobby Portis is good, and that's the That's the only thing on their roster that could save them. They traded 5 second-round picks for Jay Crowder. So like they are bare asset-wise, but Bobby Portis makes like $13 million or something. So like they could do him plus someone else. And like, does someone talk themselves into Bobby Portis and Beauchamp for a something? That's what I'm concerned about. As a dumb team doing something dumb. That's the only. Yeah. So like, yeah. So do they swing Andre Jackson, Beauchamp, and Bobby Portis for? I mean, they could do it for Caruso.
Yeah.
I don't know. From all the reports so far at the Bulls, they don't look like they even want to trade Caruso because like that's all we've got left. It's Caruso, Kobe White. But like that's the only thing. So everybody just prayer circle. Dumb team doesn't trade for a Bobby Portis is kind of the thing.
Yeah, and hope the Heat don't get Caruso. Those are the two things.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I would. The Heat giving Caruso would be so much worse than like anything the Bucks could do.
Yes,
even if the Bucks get Caruso,
100%.
I'd be like, yeah, we can still beat them. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They still have to play a bunch of bad defenders around him
Yeah.
and Giannis. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. They've got some serious problems. Love to see it. Really hope the Pacers beat them tonight, just so this segment doesn't look really dumb. But it was my idea, so I'll own it. We'll see in the playoffs. All right, Jake, I think we probably should wrap it up there. Yep. Please read 3-Leaf Clover, my weekly column, Friday mornings on Celtics blog. Jake, Celtics blog, playback tomorrow night. Everybody jump in there, Celtics or playback.tv/Celtics blog. Go in there. It's always a good time. I will be in the chat mixing it up. Jake will be on the stage, just absolutely ripping it up and screaming about Derek White. So, Jake, buddy, thanks, man. It was fun.
I love